What is up, everybody? It is Rodak with Rodak Survival, and I want to do something a little bit different today. The 2025 Supercross season is right around the corner. It is this Saturday. And let me just tell you, I cannot be any more excited. So that's what I want to talk about today. I want to talk about some of the storylines coming in. We got Deegan, we got people changing teams. We got Mr. MXGP himself, Jorge Prado, my favorite rider, Eli Tomac, what we think is going to be his last season, the Lawrence brothers, Anderson, will he make a comeback? Same with Webb. But before we do, a few things to go over. The gameplay that you guys are going to see in the background is just me riding Anaheim 1 for the first time. I figured I would download it since Anaheim 1 is this weekend, and I'm just doing some different bike setups because I do want to try to qualify for some ARL series in the 250 East class. So you're going to see me ride on the Husky, the KTM, and the Yamaha, just doing some testing. They're all going to look the same because that's just the model swap that I have on, but it's not so much about the gameplay. It's more so let's talk about 2025 Supercross. So if you guys can, drop a like, hit that subscribe button, and let's jump into it. Now, I haven't been able to find a full entry list online, but we know Deegan is going to be there at Anaheim 1, and I think you got to go with Deegan as the favorite. Yes, I know I'm going way out on a limb there and picking Deegan to win, but for me, I'm somebody, let me just lay this out here right now. I'm not a Deegan hater. I'm not really a hater of anybody on the track except for maybe Vince Freeze sometimes, but I actually like Deegan. Deegan is one of my favorite riders. Well, last year when I was at Arlington, I bought one of his shirts, and I just love the mentality and the attitude, to be honest with you. But for my own personal opinion, to go with anybody but Deegan as the favorite until we see something else, I think that's what you got to go with. And if you're not going with that, I think you're either just a huge fan of somebody else or you're just one of the many Deegan haters out there. And don't get me wrong, I don't think that Deegan is the fastest guy. I don't think he's James Bubba Stewart back on the 125 days where he's just 5 seconds a lap faster than everybody. I think Jordan Smith has the speed. If Levi Kitchen there, he has the speed. If Austin Fortner can get back to speed, he has the speed. All those guys have the speed to win. But the difference is that mentality. Now, a lot of people might not like it and it rubs people the wrong way. Me personally, like I said earlier, I love the attitude of like, I'm going to just rip your head off to win. I love that mentality going into anything. And for me, everybody else seems like they're racing everybody else out there. Like Deegan almost acts like he has a beef with himself. Like that's how I pictured in my head, where it's like, every lap, if it isn't better, he's like more pissed off and he's got to go faster and he's got to do better. It's like the dude's will to win and his just grit. I just don't see anybody else matching that grit, just being completely honest with you. Like the legend James Stewart always says, the kid has grit like he came from nothing. And it's just something that you can't teach. So it's like, yeah, while some of these other guys might get good starts and they can get a win here or there, I just think if it really came down to a last few laps battle, I just don't see anybody pushing as hard as Deegan pushes. And for guys like Smith and like Fortner, unfortunately, those guys just have a problem with staying on the ground. I feel like Smith shoots himself in the foot, and he's kind of like James back in the day too, where he almost goes too fast for his own good. And yeah, while we can say Fortner has made his own mistakes over the years, he's also just had some horrible luck. And for me personally, I would just love to see Austin get through a full season. You don't want to see anybody hurt. Last year, I was at that Arlington race and I was about 12 rows up from the section that he literally crashed in. So I watched that happen right in front of me. It was a very disgusting crash. I'm sure everybody has seen it. It was just nasty. Like I thought the dude was dead at first, like the way that his head hit the ground and everything, and you could hear it. It was definitely bad, but I'm glad to see him back on the bike, but I just want to see him make it through one season without going through injuries, because I would hate to see that dude at 40 hurting to get out of bed, because I'm sure he already does now. As someone who's never raced pro motocross and anything like that, I have had knee surgeries and stuff like that, and I know it hurts me in my early 30s, so can only imagine how that dude's gonna feel. I just want to see him make it through the season just healthy. But as of right now, we don't really have the full entry list, so I don't know who's gonna really be there at A1, but I know that I believe Fortner, Smith, and Deegan were confirmed, so that's who I decided to talk about. But for me, with my podium prediction, I am gonna go with Deegan with the win. If Levi Kitchen is there, I believe he comes in second, and I do believe Austin Fortner gets it done, and I think he's coming through in third. So that is gonna be my 250 predictions. Leave your predictions for the 250 class down in the comments. Now let's jump over to the 450 class. There are so many storylines to talk about in the 450 class. You obviously have Lawrence wanting to go undefeated, and I'll get to that here in a minute. My favorite rider, Eli Tomac. This is what looks like it's gonna be his last season. Jorge Prado coming over here to the States on Monster Energy Cowie. Can Cooper Webb rebound? Can Anderson rebound? Can Roxon rebound? Lots of things to talk about. Let's just jump right into it. Now, first thing I want to talk about is my favorite rider, Eli Tomac. Now, I have only had two favorite riders in my entire lifetime. The first one was James Stewart and the second one was Eli Tomac. I just love the way Eli rides. It is so just bulldog, aggressive, just, I don't know. I just love the way Eli hits that rev limiter. It's something different. And we've all seen Eli Tomac go beast mode. I even got to see a little bit of it last year. Like I mentioned, I was at Arlington. You remember he goes down on the first lap, came back from like dead last up to second place, almost winning the race. It was something amazing to see. When he gets in that mode, it is just something different to see. It's one thing on TV. It's another thing when you're seeing everybody on the track at once and not just singular on one person. How much faster he is going in certain sections. It is absolutely insane. Now for me, I genuinely think Eli makes a run at this championship. I may be a little biased and I know people are gonna say that he's old, he's washed up, but I don't believe so. We saw a little bit of Eli Tomac, still probably not fully healthy and in shape at SMX. He can run. I think if SMX was 2 months later, I genuinely think he gets those wins and he doesn't fade at the end. I think he comes into this season having nothing to prove. He doesn't have the pressure of wanting to win a championship. Maybe he does. Maybe he's putting that pressure on himself because he knows this is his last year, but I think he's there to enjoy it, but I also think he wants to go out with a bang. We know the reason he is back is because he got that championship stripped from him from that Achilles. That championship was his and a freak accident happened, and I think that fire still burns alive in him to where he wants to come back. He wants to prove he is still that guy. He is still beast mode, and I genuinely think it's all about Jett. Like Jett comes in, everybody's talking about him, and Eli's like, hey, don't forget about me. I want to take it to this kid. So I genuinely think Eli is going to be there in the championship, and I definitely think he gets some wins this season. Now on to Jett. I know people are talking about like the first undefeated season and everything like that. I just don't ever see that happening, to be honest, in Supercross. I know eventually that might happen, but I just don't see it happening this year. There is too many guys and there is too many things that can go wrong in a Supercross race. You could be 16-0 in main events and then just get a half a second of a bad start and you're down in the first corner in the last race, and once guys are away, you're not catching the guys through the pack. It's just not gonna happen. Yeah, you go down in the first corner, you might be able to come back and get a top 10, but like those top 3 guys, they're gonna be gone. There's too many good guys in the class right now. I just do not see the undefeated season happening. But I do respect Jett for the mentality that he has coming in. I know a lot of people are a hater towards him too, but I actually like Jett as well. He's never gonna be my favorite like a James Stewart or an Eli Tomac, but I respect the mentality. Like he's coming in and he's like, dude, I just want to beat all of you guys and nothing else matters. And I genuinely think that if anybody in this generation can go undefeated in a Supercross race, it's Jett. But like I said, Supercross is a different beast. This isn't going down at Hangtown and coming back from 40th like Chase Sexton to come back and win the race. It's just not the same. And obviously I'm giving all these opinions as if these guys are gonna stay healthy all season. Anything can happen, but does Jett get his wins? Of course. You have to throw his name in the hat for probably 4 to 5 wins minimum. And can I see him winning the championship? Absolutely. Am I biased towards Eli Tomac? Absolutely. Also, we need to talk about Chase Sexton. Now, I know he hasn't been historically happy with any of the bikes he's been on, and for me, I'm kind of wondering, is it more of a Chase Sexton problem than it is a bike problem? Because eventually, if the same things keep happening over and over, maybe sometimes you got to look a little bit in the mirror. Now, at the same time, I kind of feel split 50-50. I appreciate when people call out things that aren't being done right, but I also am like, you had these same problems on Honda, now you're having the same problems on KTM, and you're blaming the bike for both of them. I'm like, what really is it? Now, I know you're super fit, I know you're super fast, but we obviously know he has all the intangibles. He has the speed to win, but for me, I just got to see him try to put it all together, and I just don't see him being somebody I can etch in as a win every single week either. The only 2 people that I can see right now in my heart of hearts that can win a race consistently, or like going into the night, I think like that guy can win, is Jett and Eli. I know Roxon can win a race. I know Plessinger can win a race. I know Sexton can win a race. Anderson, Webb, all those guys can win a race, but they're so inconsistent here or there. You put my whole year's salary on the line, Eli and Jett are the only 2 guys that I would confidently say win races. Now on to Hunter Lawrence. I think he can squeak out a win or 2 here in this season, but I think he's still gonna be going to try to get his feet wet. I still think some of these guys are still pretty fast. I know he was up there at SMX that's a little bit of a different beast, but I do think he gets better. I do think he's a consistent top 5 guy. And if he gets a good start and other things happen to some other guys, I think that he can get a win or two this season, but I just don't see him being up there as a podium guy every single weekend, at least as of right now, as everything remains to be unseen. But as of right now, I just can't mark him as like a week-to-week podium guy for sure. Now, I feel the same about Jason Anderson. I think if everything goes right, he can get a win or two, but I just think the days of seeing 2022 Jason Anderson are done, unfortunately. He had 7 wins that season, but the races really were only Cooper Webb and Eli Tomac that he was having a battle. Now you got Jett, you got Hunter, you got to see what Jorge Prado does. You got Eli coming on his last season. I just don't see him being that 2022 guy anymore, but I do think he can squeak out a win or two here and there. I don't really have any opinion about Cooper Webb. That guy is so hard to predict. Like, he can get a 9th and then come back and win the next 2 races. I don't know. Could you etch him in for a couple wins here or there? You have to, because anytime you think Webb is out of it, you're like, oh, he's gotten 2 5th or 6th in a row. There's no way he's gonna win. He comes out and wins, and then he gets on a hot streak, and then he gets in people's heads. It's just, it's so hard to predict Cooper Webb's. But yeah, does he come away with a win or two potentially? Probably. Now, someone who vastly improved last year was Aaron Plessinger. He is also one of those guys where I see him on the bubble for getting a win or two in a season. Like I said, if things go his way, but as far as speed-wise, we don't know. We haven't seen Anaheim 1, but I'm going off of what I've seen so far as of like last year's races and stuff like that. And unless he's really improved and switched up his technique just a little bit, I just don't see him having the speed that an Eli or a Jett do. Same with the intensity. I know he gives it his all. Fan favorite. I love Aaron as well. But until I see that like half a step more of speed, then I just got to mark him in as one of those guys as well, where things got to go right for him to get a win. And now there's plenty of other things that we can talk about, but lastly, I want to talk about Jorge Prado. I'm just going to have to say, I just don't see him getting a win this year. Now, the only way I see Jorge getting a win this year is if it's a mud race. And the only reason I say that is because Supercross is an animal, man. Like, this guy's coming from overseas. He's used to racing MXGP. Yeah, he was a top 10 guy last year when he was here on the gas. But now he's on a new bike, he's learning the testing, he's doing all these different things. I think this will just be a learning Supercross season for him. Now for outdoors, I could see him winning some races outdoors. But as far as Supercross, I just think it's too much expectation for somebody's first full season to come in Supercross and to come in and win races. I just don't see it happening as of right now. Like I said, unless it's a mud race, who knows, maybe he can prove me wrong. I have no problem admitting that I am wrong in any of these videos if I am wrong about any of these guys. But as of right now, I just can't see Jorge getting a win. But I'm excited to see him over here. I'm excited to see what he can do. I think it's great for the sport. I think the sport is growing, and it's great to see all these things. But yeah, I think we covered most of everybody. We got to Eli, we got to the Lawrence bros, Anderson, Webb, Roxon, Sexton. So now let me give you my Anaheim 1 podium predictions. I'm going out on a limb here and I'm saying Eli Tomac gets the win. Now, I know he's historically not good at A1, but I don't know. I feel something different. I feel it in the air. I think Eli comes away with the win in A1. And in second place, I have Jett Lawrence. And in third place, I have Chase Sexton. Now, I don't know if you guys play the RM Fantasy, but I've been playing it since it came out. Gonna be doing the fantasy again this year, but if you guys are gonna be doing the RM fantasy as well, go to the Discord link in the description. That is my Discord. I am gonna have a channel just set up for the fantasy, so we could all play, we can all talk about picks, we can see what place we're in overall each week, and yeah, just have a good conversation and have some fun through the season. And I may try to give away a prize for whoever is in the Discord and whoever finishes the highest rank. But yeah, guys, I have been yapping a little too much. Like I said, let me know your Anaheim predictions. Let me know your 2025 Supercross predictions. Who's coming away with a championship? Who's getting the most wins? All those things. Leave them down in the comments. Like I said, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.